Hi everybody, and welcome to the Electronic Harassment Parent Coalition of Palm Springs, California. My name's Kevin Bond. I'm the owner of the site, and I have been waiting to talk to you guys for a while. Sorry it's taken so long. We've had some difficulty with my dad being in the hospital. He's fine now. He's home. Everybody is doing really well. And we've been working on the project. As you can see, the numbers have been really good. I hope that you will continue to come back. First things first, I wanted to give a shout out to my team and say thanks for all the work you guys are putting in right now. It's really paying off. Apparently we have a lot of things to discuss today. First things first, Lisa or Lori, whatever you want to call her, she's like gone off the deep end. In fact, just before I started recording this, she's just going literally crazy, screaming in my head. And this is what, the 9:12 in the morning on, I don't even know what day it is. What day it is today? Let's see here. Like on the 28th, or close to that. And I just wanted everybody to know that this is like a daily occurrence now. I mean, this has gotten to the point with her where she is using so many needles and drugs that she's up all night long. I don't think she ever sleeps anymore. She's screaming, she's yelling, she's threatening me, she's threatening my family members, she's threatening Christopher, all the family members of my friends, everybody. And remember, she's only living maybe 5 miles from my house right now. Everybody makes a big deal about, you know where she is and all this stuff. Technically, I don't know where she is. But I do know from people that I've interviewed as a police informant that she is in the area, she's very close, and this is something that is typical that she does with all of the people that she targets as her intended target, her main target. She always manages to find a home somewhere close to them. Stephen Fry is a good example. He has been in 3 or 4 different apartments, and she's lived literally right around the corner or across the street from him, and has always been, well, in his face and stealing things. Remember, when I moved out to the area that I'm in now in 29 Palms, I was already a police informant, and we were working on the Stephen Fry case, and I was doing some research and found that a mailbox had been set up, a post office box had been set up in the Joshua Tree area with Stephen's name on it. And it wasn't there the previous month, so I knew that he was in the area, or somebody was saying that he was in the area. I had already had a death threat from him for doing the informant work, and so I tried to get a hold of the police in Palm Springs, and they were of no help. Officer Villegas and Doherty pulled me in and said, that they were going to arrest me if I ever called them again about this person that I was doing informant work with, even though I told them I was an informant. At any rate, we know that she's in the area. She's made contact with my sister. Apparently, and this is something that I haven't confirmed yet, but she talks about Facebooking with my nieces and talking to them. She goes online and pretends that she's one of my friends from high school, like Margie Miller or Robin Dimmick or Tracy Coe, and says that she's friends, my friend, and that she wants to talk to her or one of them. And then she starts asking these probing questions or getting really offensive about my father, or just talking about stuff that's really personal. And my nieces are very sharp, so they kind of don't like her. Also, I just wanted to let everybody know that this situation is really difficult. Even though I can inform you about what's going on and you can have it independently confirmed by members of my team, nobody really does that for my family. So when I tell you about what's going on and what the truth is from what I've heard, you need to understand that my family is still skeptical. Not skeptical so much about the electronic part of it, and not so much skeptical about who's behind it, but basically they've been working on this, I've been working on this project now for 8 years, and they want to see some action on it. And when it's somebody like that's been contacted by this girl, like my sister, for the last 30 years, it's really hard for me to convince my sister that this is the girl that's behind all of this. She presents herself in a way that she's a little Miss Know-It-All, or that she works for the police, and then she starts trying to pump information out of my sister, and it's made for a really difficult situation with family members. which is something that this girl Lori wants. Now I say Lori because I have an email from a person named Lori saying that she's the one that's doing this. So there's adequate proof that someone's doing it, and there's adequate proof that someone is behind it, and she makes up all this stuff about it, but yet I still have an email saying that this is what's going on. So what people need to understand is, unless somebody like Sergeant Anderson or my team members independently confirm that, hey, look, this girl is dangerous and you really got to watch out for her, then I have to do it all myself. And it's really hard because I spent a period of time being a drug addict myself. I'm 6 years sober now. There's my chip. And I'm doing really well. But the crime has been going on for almost 27, 28 years with me. And so a lot of what I wrote about in the diaries that you're going to see later is my experience knowing as a person that was using drugs that I wasn't going to be very credible. So I wrote the experiences down in volumes of diaries. And that's pretty much how I did it. So I wanted to get that point across to everybody that says, hey, listen, you do such a good job telling us what this is about. Why isn't your family as behind this as the rest of us are? And the problem is that I'm the only one that's confirming it. Now, the rest of you have people that independently confirm that for you, so you know it's true. All right, so that one's kind of tough. And like I said, this girl Lori's caused a ton of problems. I mean, we're talking 30 years of, telling my family that what she knows about me by following me, and then she has the nerve to file a restraining order saying that she doesn't know anything about me. But she forgets that she has talked to my sister for over 30 years. She's, been in contact with Sergeant Anderson, my police contact. She's met every friend pretty much that I know, either one way or another, either by pretending that she's someone else or introducing herself as like an ex-girlfriend of mine or not. She's not an ex-girlfriend of mine. I'm gay, and I've never had a girlfriend like that, and I certainly have never had any kind of sexual contact or anything like that. Which brings me to my next point. My team is allegedly working with a lab now, and I don't know how well versed most of you are in the DNA structure of a virus, especially the HIV virus. It's a retrovirus, which means it strips one side of the DNA strand off and has an RNA strand, then it replicates it and then puts it back together and then creates more and explodes out into your immune system. Well, one thing it does do is it takes the person that infected, the new person, and puts it in order. So you have the person that does the job of infecting, and then it follows with the person that was infected. So you can see by the top part of the chain who did the infecting and who was infected. All right? And we've identified that the main infector is a woman, because you can tell by the DNA strand. And she apparently has infected a lot of gay men that have never met her. So that's a concern. We also have seen a strand that is attached to it afterwards that is very similar to this strand, only some differences down here in the part that describes gender. So we can automatically tell that this strand here that adds to it is the brother of this strand. So we have the blue widow here is what we call her. And then she infects her brother, which adds his strand here. And then we're starting to see a trend where after the blue widow gives it to her brother, then he gives it to her again, and she gives it to him again, and she gives it to her again, and back and forth and back and forth. So it's a very long strand of DNA. And then finally you see the victim. And this is because this has been happening over almost a 30-year period. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands that for many years, this girl, Lisa, has been following gay men around trying to apparently have sex with them. So it will look like they gave her the virus. But we all know from what I just told you that the virus is a very good secretary. It keeps an absolute record of who was infected by whom and when. The order anyways. We're doing a part of the project that shows that people with a short strand of infection from the HIV virus started back in the 1980s. The most recent cases that we have has a very long blue-green strand that goes back and forth, and I've been told like 15 times. which means that they've cross-infected each other 15 times as brother and sister. And that's more towards like the 2000s. So over time, the same person that infected me in 1987, in 2010, infected somebody else with a much longer strain of the virus. And we can tell, once again, that it's a woman who has a brother that's infected and has been reinfected. And we can tell that it's an intentional infection because most of these victims don't know this girl, and they're gay men. So forensic epidemiology has really come a long way in terms of, an exact date of the infection. I know that I can confirm that I was positive in 1987, 88, but I remember getting sick about a year into, or about 3 or 4 weeks into the school year in 1987. And then I got real sick, and then around Christmas time, right around there in 1988, I tested positive. So we know that this girl's been doing this for this long. And there are others that have been infected, but my strand of this DNA in my virus shows that that's the only infection I've ever had. It also shows that I've never been infected again. It also shows that it was an infection that she got from somebody that isn't me and isn't anybody that we know yet. It's nobody that we have tested yet. So independently, it's looking like somebody acquired immune deficiency syndrome, this girl, and she got mad or deliberately started taking it out on people that she didn't know and gave them the virus. And it's been going on for 30 years. So this is a very new kind of thing, and I'm not a big fan of the who gave what virus to who witch hunt kind of thing. But when you're dealing with a situation where a human being is being knocked out, unconscious, and they're being loaded up with a virus that is 13, 15, 16 strands long, what you're having to happen here is you're loading up a human being with a tremendous amount of virus. Now, if you're having sex with somebody, and let's say the condom broke, and let's say that, you had HIV and this person was infected, you may be getting maybe 20 pieces of HIV. 20, viruses. And that's going to take a long time for your immune system to react to, multiply, and overcome your immune system. What we think is happening, and this is just a theory, is that this girl is drawing her own blood with these long strands of DNA and injecting it into people, which is overwhelming the victims that have never had HIV or are HIV negative, and it overwhelms their system because there's so much virus and it's so virulent that it's overtaking these people in a week, 2 weeks. And some of them even succumb to, the age-related complexes in less than, a month, which is very disturbing. Now, there are some good things that come from this. Knowing that if you could take Truvada, apparently the second attempt to reinfect me with the longer strain of the virus when I was sexually assaulted at Stephen Fry's house did not take. And it's because I was taking Truvada. And when you take Truvada, it does not allow you to pass the virus or receive the virus from somebody else in almost infinitesimally small numbers. In fact, there are no cases of somebody taking Truvada and giving it to somebody else or getting it from somebody else. So the numbers are pretty clear. But I wanted to make sure that people understand the problem isn't irresponsible sex with the initial infection. The problem is these people don't know that they're infected. They would not have any recollection of having a sexual encounter. They would not have any recollection of using a dirty needle because they didn't. These people are knocked unconscious with something that resembles succinylcholine, which is a drug that basically immobilizes you and freezes you inside of your body. You cannot move your muscles, but you're basically awake. Which is a very scary thing. I'm not sure what drug is being used to knock these people out, but I've heard that it's a livestock drug, something used to knock out like cattle or pigs or horses that allows the animal to still remain conscious but not be able to move. But this is being used on people. My team is independently confirming all of this right now through this lab, and I'm sure that the blood in the clothing that I submitted to the police department will, in a toxicology screen, show that I was knocked out with this sort of thing, which means that when I was knocked out, I was semi-conscious. And when you see the picture postcard of my face being punched out, you can see that my eyes are open, but I'm not moving. So I just wanted to let people understand that we are working on this case. The implantation of these RFID devices are used through a hollow point syringe. Obviously it has to be big enough to let like a grain of rice slide through it. And these are very good places to collect blood samples from the victims. And we have apparently collected a whole bunch of them. And so I want everybody to know that I'm doing fine. I miss Christopher terribly. I miss him a lot. I think about him all the time, and his mom and all my friends. And I'm a little scared right now because she's been getting a little bit aggressive. I bought motion cameras and night vision cameras for the outside of my home. She's been really aggressive trying to steal my HIV meds, and she'll probably try to steal prescriptions from you, so be very careful. But I just want to let everybody know that we're working really hard on this case, and my team deserves a lot of credit for the work that they do, but it really would help if somebody would independently confirm with my mom and dad and my sister that the work he's doing is fantastic. I mean, this is a one-of-a-kind chance to listen to the actual criminal tell you what she's doing while she's doing it. And it's a really weird crime. It's I don't know how I'll ever explain this to people. Knowing what I know, how could I not do what I'm doing right now? And that's basically the person that I am. So I just want to let everybody know that I'm doing fine. I'm just going to go over and see my dad again today. He's feeling a lot better. Thanks to everybody for your well wishes. I was going to do some shameless promotions, but right now I think it's important that you guys just see me and know that I'm doing everything I can. I hope all of you are too. Stay safe, everybody. I love you, Christopher. Have a great day.